The Pelicans defeated the Kings 105-98 to clinch the 8th seed. They will now be facing the Oklahoma City Thunder. During the regular season, they played 3 games against the Thunder and they went 1-2. One thing to take note of is that them not having Zion will make a huge difference in this series. So I looked at the 3 games they played this year. One thing I've noticed, Zion did play in 2 out of 3 of those games. In the 2 games that Zion played, they split. They won one game 110-106, and then they lost another game with them, I believe 119-112. That was the last time they played this team. So Zion makes a huge difference because you look at the game where they played the Pelicans without Zion, they lost that game 107-83. The Pelicans, that is. They lost that game to OKC 107-83. So Zion's impact is huge in this matchup, and now he's not going to be available, obviously. This now makes the series much more harder for the Pelicans to pull an upset. I think with Zion, it would have been much closer, I would give them something like a 45-50% chance of pulling off the upset against OKC. I think it would have been a lot closer, a more exciting series, because with Zion and Valanciunas, they could be very physical with Chet and Jalen Williams. Now that's taken away. You look at OKC with Shea, Josh Giddey, they have a lot of advantages on the perimeter, I feel. Plus, with the size, I would say their advantage on the perimeter is huge, but it's big enough that there is a gap between their perimeter players and OKC's perimeter players. You look at Shea playing at an MVP level this year, that makes a huge difference. So I think that elevates their perimeter players to be above the Pelicans' perimeter players, but not by too much of a gap, because the Pelicans overall have good perimeter players. But I think the gap gets a lot bigger when you compare their big men to OKC's big men now that Zion's gone. That's a huge gap, and it's a gap I don't think the Pelicans can now make up in this series. I believe the OKC Thunder will beat the Pelicans, I'm going to say, in 5 games. I'm going to say OKC in 5 games against the Pelicans. Pelicans will win 1 game where you'll see CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram go off, and Trey Murphy. I feel those 3 guys will have 1 breakout game where they'll lead the Pelicans to 1 win against the Thunder. So I'm going to say Thunder in 5 games.